My name is David Miller. I was born and raised on this land, and every inch of it feels like a part of me. My family has farmed this Iowa land for 4 generations, growing corn and soybeans. Each season, we pass down not just skills but stories and values from one hand to the next. The fields stretch out like a golden sea under the wide blue sky. Sometimes when the sun sets just right, it feels like the whole world is glowing. I learned to drive a tractor before I could ride a bike. My earliest memories are of bouncing along beside my father, hands gripping the wheel, feeling the engine's hum. This soil is in my blood. Its scent after rain, the way it clings to your boots. These are things you never forget. Farming isn't just a job, it's a promise to the land, to family, and to the future. It's a way of life that shapes who you are, day in and day out. It's a life of early mornings, long days, and faith that a tiny seed will grow. You learn patience, and you learn hope. For years that trust felt unbreakable. The rhythm of planting and harvest was as steady as the seasons. We worked hard, and the world bought what we grew. There was pride in knowing our labor mattered beyond our fences, our corn-fed livestock across oceans. It was humbling to think of our harvest reaching distant shores, our soybeans shipped to ports I'd only seen on a map. The world felt connected, and we were a part of something bigger. We were feeding people, building bridges from our small town to the world. It gave us purpose and pride. My father always said a farmer's work matters everywhere. I believe that too, and I tried to teach my own children the same lesson. But in the spring of 2025, a strange quiet settled over the fields. Not peaceful, but uneasy. The air felt heavier, as if the land itself was holding its breath. News of trade wars and tariffs crackled through the radio. Headlines we'd never paid much mind to suddenly felt personal. At first it felt distant, like something happening in far-off cities. But each day, the news crept closer, until it was all anyone talked about. We kept working, planting seeds, trusting things would work out. That's what farmers do. We keep going no matter what. Trust is a farmer's main tool. But the unease grew. Doubt crept in where certainty used to live. My wife Mary watched falling prices with worry. Every drop in the market felt like a blow to our future. My son Jake called home more often, asking questions I couldn't answer. He was worried about the farm, about us. "Dad, what if China stops buying our beans?" he'd ask. I could hear the fear in his voice, the uncertainty. I told him not to worry, but at night I'd lie awake, thinking about loans and the promise I made to this land. The weight of responsibility pressed down harder than ever. For the first time that promise felt heavy. It felt fragile. The silence before the storm was deafening, and I wondered what tomorrow would bring. The news hit hard. New tariffs on imports, and other countries retaliated. It felt like the world was suddenly turning its back on us, and the headlines seemed to get worse every day. Our biggest customers vanished overnight. Shipments that once left our farms for distant ports now sat idle, with nowhere to go. The markets and relationships we'd built for decades disappeared. Generations of trust and hard work were wiped away in a matter of weeks. It was like a door slammed shut. The world outside felt farther away than ever before. The world no longer wanted our food, soybean prices plummeted, and the crops we'd worked so hard to grow became nearly worthless overnight. One day we planned for the future. The next we faced devastating loss. Grain elevators grew quiet, contracts were canceled, the silence was heavy, and hope seemed to fade with every passing day. Our healthy fields now looked like debt. Every acre was a reminder of what we stood to lose. At the local diner we spoke in low voices. The usual laughter and stories were replaced by worry and uncertainty. We were all in the same sinking boat. No one had answers, and everyone felt the weight of the unknown. Bill next door had just bought a new planter. Now he didn't know how to pay for it. Investments that once promised growth now threatened to pull us under. Tom told his daughter to look for work in the city. Families were being split apart by forces beyond our control. We'd weathered droughts and floods, but this was a storm made by men, not nature. It was a different kind of disaster, one we couldn't prepare for. I had to tell Jake not to come home after graduation. The farm couldn't offer him a future anymore. "There's nothing for you here right now, son," I said, my voice breaking. I never imagined I'd have to say those words. Telling him that the life I'd built was broken was the hardest thing I've ever done. The pain of watching dreams slip away is something I'll never forget. What is a tariff? It's just a tax on imports meant to make foreign goods more expensive and protect American industries. The government said it would bring back jobs and make trade fair. But trade is a two-way street. When we tax others, they tax us back. Retaliation. Countries like China, Canada, and Mexico put tariffs on what we sell most agricultural products. Suddenly our crops were too expensive for them. They bought from Brazil and Argentina instead. We learned that pulling one thread in the global market shakes the whole web. For years we were told to grow more, be efficient, feed the world. We did. Then, overnight, the rules changed. The markets we supplied were gone. We were told it was short-term pain for long-term gain. But when your farm is on the line, there's only the here and now. The word tariff became a force tearing our lives apart, undoing generations of work. The pain didn't stop at our fields. It spread through the whole community. A farm is connected to a network of businesses and people. When farmers hurt, everyone hurts. The first to fall after us was the equipment dealer. John's showroom emptied, and he had to lay off good men. Truckers had nothing to haul. Logistics companies cut hours. Every canceled contract meant another idle truck. The local bank tightened credit, worried we couldn't pay back loans. Many of us couldn't. The financial foundation of our community began to crack. Even Main Street felt the chill. The cafe had fewer customers, the grocery store sold less, the hardware store sat quiet. Every dollar we didn't earn from crops was a dollar not spent locally. The trade war wasn't just about exports, it was draining the lifeblood from our small town. Economic problems became community problems. The spirit of our town began to fade. Friday night football games felt different. People were distracted, worried about who'd lose their farm next. The school suffered as property tax revenue fell. They cut art, music, and couldn't replace old textbooks. Some of our best teachers left for bigger cities. Opportunities for our kids shrank before our eyes. The stress was immense. Families argued about money. Depression and anxiety grew. The church started a support group, but talking couldn't pay the bills or bring back the markets. We felt forgotten. The news talked about a strong economy, but our reality was foreclosure signs and quiet auctions. The worst part was the loss of hope. Farming is built on hope, but the trade war replaced it with uncertainty. We were proud American farmers, but it felt like our country didn't love us back. After months of hardship, the government sent aid, checks in the mail. The money was a lifeline, helping some pay bills and keep the bank at bay for another month. But it felt wrong. We're farmers. We want a market, not a handout. A government check felt like charity, an admission that the policy had failed. My father always said, a farmer wants a fair price, not a favor. The aid didn't fix the real problem. The biggest payments went to huge agribusinesses, not family farms like ours. It created resentment and division when we needed unity. We wanted trade, not aid. A check can't replace a relationship with a buyer built over decades. Once supply chains move, it's hard to get them back. The world was moving on without us. The aid was a short-term fix for a long-term disaster, a small plaster on a deep wound. In the face of hardship, resilience grew. Every challenge we faced became a lesson, every setback a reason to push forward. The land tests us, but it also teaches us to adapt and persevere. When a storm flattens a crop, you plan for the next season. We're still here, we're survivors. We learn to accept loss, but we never let it define us. Instead, we look for the next opportunity, the next chance to rebuild. The pain is real, but rural America's spirit isn't broken. Our communities are bound by shared struggle and hope, and we find strength in each other. We're looking for new solutions, selling directly to consumers, growing specialty crops, investing in renewable energy. We're reimagining what it means to farm, and finding new ways to keep our land and families thriving. These changes aren't easy, but they offer hope. Every new idea is a risk, but it's also a promise to ourselves and our children that we won't give up. We're not waiting for someone else to save us. We're taking action day by day with our own hands and determination. The biggest lesson is about trust, rebuilding it with our country and trading partners. Trust is the foundation of every deal, every handshake, every promise for a better future. We need policies that open doors, not slam them shut. We need support that helps us grow, not barriers that hold us back. We need leaders who understand our global connections. Our future depends on working together, both at home and across borders. The path forward won't be easy. There will be setbacks, and there will be days when hope feels distant. Some farms are lost forever, their stories written in the empty fields and broken barns. Some communities may never recover, and the loss is felt in every closed shop and silent playground. But I still have faith in the land, in my neighbors, and in the bonds that hold us together. In our ability to endure and innovate, to find new ways forward even when the old ones are gone. My son Jake is studying agriculture and international trade policy. He's learning how the world is changing and how we can change with it. He wants to be part of the solution. He believes in the future of farming, and so do I. We may have lost a harvest, but not our spirit. Our hope is planted deep, ready to grow again. We'll plant new seeds and pray for a wiser season to come, trusting that tomorrow will bring a different kind of harvest, one built on hope, hard work, and the promise of renewal.